Alright, time to actually review some of these guys, which two of these I used to receive since 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks maybe. The other was last year, which some people kind of knew, so we're going to actually go over it. First is Ark Balkesh. It is a counterclockwise left spin, meant to say, which counterclockwise means left, so you're going this way, and it is a defense type. And probably is one of the best releases in Switch Strike. So it was released in Wave 5. The owner was Boa. But this is its entire stock combo. So we have is Ark Balkesh, the layer itself. We're gonna actually pretty much show. Now the giving on his layer is really interesting. So basically I got the layer right here. If you look at the back, you see some kind of sub-layer on there. So these green parts, they actually can flare out depending on how much damage he receives from slopes. So this is good for like reducing recoil and making it a little harder to be bursted. Because I've tested him and he hasn't burst because I practiced hand spinning with him a lot. And I actually had these, I made sure he had the gimmick flared out, and I hand spin, and he hasn't budged. So you can pretty much assume the gimmick was working with the hand spin, but for like actual launches, it's pretty much a fail. But when you actually get him in like a box, if you like put them together, it's actually kind of tight, surprisingly. And I've seen this in competitiveness. This thing is actually probably is one of the best Hasbro releases from Switch Strike, because this thing is a left spin and it's a defense. It actually has some good capabilities of equalization. So it actually has a chance at some life after death, good for reducing some impact of recoil. So because it gets like same spin directions, it still has a chance. Because I have not seen this thing be bursted by another left spin and like its actual self. To Karatomi though, it dies from left spin. But in like a certain combo, it's super tight. And then we have the 2-disc right here that's on the frame. It's a pretty standard disc. It's a jack of all trades. Attack, defense, and stamina is good for it. But at the same time, there's already some better disc that's already out by right now, like the 7-disc, the 0-disc, so on. But however, let me take this apart. It's kind of a special. It's like that, and then voila, you got the frame. And then we got the 2-disc right here, which to certain disc, well, to most disc from Switch Strike and Turbo, they actually can be able to place in frames. And this is the bump frame. Probably is like the most used frame in Switch Strike because it's actually the heaviest frame. Well, sadly it's outclassed because, well, we actually have the wall frame, which that came on Turbo Surprise and Urshoshi Spriggan, which that thing is really heavy. It was like really slanted low to the ground, and it was really heavy, so it made it really easy for Turbo Surprise to get scraping a lot. But however, bump frame can be a good for an alternative version of it. So if you don't want to use like the wall frame, or you want to just replace it for something, then give bump frame or a star frame like a good try, because they're actually somewhat pretty good competitiveness. And it's kind of as good for defense as well, so it actually has some chances. So we're going to place this together. Give it a sec. I'll be right back. Alright, now it's back on. Last but not least, probably is I've seen this in Swiss Strike, and before when the bearing driver was introduced for Team Kanox, this was probably is the most popular driver to be released, and that is Atomic. Atomic is a 360 degrees freestanding ball tip that has good life after death, and it has a ring that actually also gives it a little bit of life after death. So it has a lot of surfaces, but the drawback to it is it has a weaker spring than most other drivers. So in certain situations, I feel like this is good if you want to play in like the defense or stamina way. Like the other being the orbit driver, but sadly we don't have orbit because it got missing. The orbit driver is like it's kind of is like a smaller version of this thing, and it has like a smaller ball, and it wasn't as like crazy free spinning, but it had a little bit of free spin. But the spring from it was actually impressive. Now, like, I've used this thing over a year, so basically the locking is pretty weak. So it kind of matches to Keratomes. But for, like, some people, when you usually get your actual Ark Balkesh, it's kind of tight. It's actually surprisingly tight. Because mine was kind of lucky. Let's place this together. Got the driver. Now it's back together. There you go. Got yourself Ark Balkesh. Left spin, defense type, pretty good. Now I'll go to the next one. Next up we got Turbo Valtryek V3. This is a turbo, somewhat of a switch strike actually. So basically Turbo Valtryek is like from the Turbo series, well, Beyblade Burst Turbo Season 3, I'm going to say. And this thing actually has some crazy gimmicks. So basically, you see this red part right here on like around his blade. It's actually meant to be like some kind of wing that actually allows him to gain more attack. Now I have a little bit of like a fingernail, so I can actually get it out. Now you can see there's one red right here. The other one right here. There's another wing. Like there's another wing. So these are meant to increase your attack, but this is like the most important because, as if you can see a little closely if you focus, you can see a little red piece right here on the layer next to like the little locking piece. Like you can kind of look, yeah, it's right there. You see it right there? It's from this wing. It's from the wing that's like, it's right here. So basically that causes it to activate a little burst stopper. And what's meant to do is to make you unburstable. So making sure no disc slides past through it. Now, it's like really OP, but Hasbro did do a pretty good job of it. Kind of. Now, if you want to actually pretty much make him like only like a super hard hit, we'll have to push this thing in again, which I'm going to demonstrate. Like if anything hits super hard on him and this wing retracts back in, you lose the burst stopper, and then boom, you're burstable again. Now how much chance of actually bursting this thing? Probably not too high of a chance. Not really a high chance at all, because this is an attack type. It has good slopes. When I pretty much unboxed this like 2 weeks ago, it's actually pretty good locking. Like the locking on this thing is impressive. Now I'm going to close these wings up. And this is a right spin attack type. Clockwise, but to say. And then we got the Zenith disc, which kind of is meant for this guy here. Or Fafnir. Depends. And like these Z shapes, it's really unique. Like the blades. Well, in Takara told me they used to have these rubber pieces on these two contacts right here. Like on these two. In Takara told me they used to have rubber on this. But Hasbro, they didn't want to do that because that will like make things a little too heavy, or might make things a little too broken for the meta. Where it's gonna be act as like a spin stealing gimmick. Now the blades won't make as much contact as usually because it's stuck into it. But however, this is gonna actually help. So it's actually pretty good. And then we got not like last but not least, probably is like the interesting driver. We got Evolution, but my Evolution driver is fully worn down. Just wish my camera would focus. But the Evolution driver is actually fully worn down. Like you can see it entirely flat. Like you don't even see any rubber teeth on it. So that pretty much basically means that it's gonna be really quick. Now the driver is rubber, so it has friction on the stadium and goes quick. However, because it's fully worn down now, you're gonna need like a lot of control in order to like be able to use this thing pretty well. I feel like it doesn't have as much stamina at all, but it's good for like the speed is drastically increased and attack power is like amazing. But the spin of the stamina is terrible. Now I'm gonna put this thing locked together. And there you go. You got yourself the Turbo Valtryek. Oh, forgot to show you how it works. So the little burst stopper here, if you look closely, yeah, you see here, and then it's actually to this red piece. Yeah, you see? Oh wow, it just did it on its own. Sorry about that. Now if you look really closely, see the little red piece? Right here. Like you won't move from that easily. Like it's like it gains more burst resistance from that. Or you're not meant to burst. Once that happens, then you'll burst. Last but not least, but one of my favorite Beyblades I've had since for 2 years, and now it's finally evolved. We have is Hazard Kerbeus K4 7 Atomic Slingshot. Well, basically, originally 7 Atomic, but it was a painted green disc. Now, what I actually did is like a funny joke, is that I placed like a little rubber piece on the third Kerbeus's head on his mouth, just to give it a little more of a fire theme to it, just to make it like a joke. But I love it. Now, the layers gimmick is actually kind of interesting. So, anything that hits this will kind of bounce it off like a spring or dampen the impact. So it's like really good, and it's a right spinning defense. So it actually has some, like into Keratomi, it just a little bit of, it has quite a bit of metal onto it. And then like actually a mode, like it's the 1A mode, so it's actually pretty good. The 7 is decently heavy, probably the heaviest disc I actually have today, unless it's Zenith. So it's pretty good. I have 3 stars on this, by the way. And the locking on this thing is actually pretty alright. Like, when I unboxed, the locking was alright. It was pretty good. Like, not super OP like Turbo Valtryek, but pretty good. And the stamina from the 7 is actually distributed pretty evenly, though. And Atomic Slingshot, same thing with the regular Atomic, but it's like a smaller ring and smaller ball. But however, because of Slingshot, watch. You see, pull. I'm gonna do it off camera. Now, if you like pull the little thing up, it makes it taller. And then, you lock it in. Now it's in slingshot mode. The locking from this thing is actually pretty interesting. Like, it's not too tight like Turbo Valtryek. It's not like super loose like my Ark Balkesh right now. But it's actually somewhat pretty good. If I lock this thing together, now it's fully locked. Right spinning defense type, I feel like the layer is somewhat competitive, I think. I feel like it has a chance. If it ever has like a level chip, then it's actually good. It comes with a yellow level chip, I've seen it in the anime, but I'm working on that one day, so it's gonna be really well. And I feel like the layer itself is gonna be good. Now that's all the stuff I actually got for like the good ones I was showing. Like, this was for like last year. These two for like this year. So finally my Kerbeus finally evolved to this. But peace out, everyone.